All right, so welcome to the first of the speaker interviews for the Memphis Global AI Community Bootcamp. And my guest this evening is Mr. Jeffrey Palermo. Jeffrey, thank you for being here and thank you for speaking.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm excited for the event.
Yeah, so real quick about the event. The event is going to be on it's going to be on Friday, April the 25th, which is a week from this Friday. It's actually Wednesday, April 16th right now, I believe. And we've got, along with Jeffrey, we've got a whole bunch of awesome speakers here. Here's the schedule. Oops, let me remove that banner real quick. And so we got a whole bunch of awesome speakers. It's going to be a full day, two tracks. So that's going to be great. But let's go ahead and let's get to know Jeffrey a little bit. Jeffrey, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Sure, happy to. So I'm a software architect, and I'm the chief architect of ClearMeasure, which is a full service software architecture and consulting firm that I started back in 2013. And I've been programming since 1997, and really Microsoft Technologies has been my focus the whole way. So it's been quite a journey, and uh, my focus, I call myself kind of a chief teacher and encourager, because that's really my focus, is to help other people just do a really good job delivering custom software.
And you do a really good job of that, not only professionally but also in the community as well, because you have been for quite some time a Microsoft MVP, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it's been a great program. Got that award. They've given it to me every year since 2006,
Wow.
and so I love being involved that way with Microsoft. I've also been on the Insiders and MVP programs for JetBrains and Redgate and particular software and Octopus Deploy for quite some time as well. And I host the Azure and DevOps podcast, a weekly show where I pull on experts to kind of share their wisdom on various topics in the .NET ecosystem. So that's fun as well.
Great. Well, let's go ahead and let's talk about the session that you're going to do uh, uh, next week, .NET Architecture and DevOps.
Um, so uh,
.NET AI Architecture and DevOps, sorry.
AI, yep, AI architecture and DevOps. In this AI world, there's so much confusion. I like to simplify things, and there's two sides to the AI story, and I try to kind of set aside the futurism where people are making predictions about what might change because of AI. In reality, we don't know, and just like in the late '90s, you could say, "Oh, the internet is going to change this and that." I mean, okay, who's to say who's right? We're just going to have to see together. But we know the internet did change some things. So
Mhm.
we'll have to see together what actually changes and how it changes. But for what we know right now, for people doing their jobs today, this year, and maybe planning for just next year, not 5, 10 years from now, but maybe next year, um, I try to get concrete and simplify it. And there's two categories of AI that are totally different, but we don't have different terms for them. One is using large language models and small language models and RAG and and MCP and all the different technologies to to make cool features in the software you're building, so
Mhm.
that the software system itself has some new, very useful capabilities. That's a whole that's a whole segment and a whole thought process. What can the GPT technology and large language models do for us right now when it comes to envisioning new features? All right, that's one track. The other track is AI driven development. How can I use AI tools so that I, the software
Mhm.
engineer, can deliver software systems better, faster, cheaper, higher quality, more reliable? And I'm calling that AI driven development.
Mhm.
I think the actual term that sweeps across the industry for that concept remains to be seen, but that seems to suit that concept, and I haven't heard a better one, so I'm sticking with AI driven development. But those are two categories. So I
Right.
I dissect both of them in this presentation. And the first one, making use of LLMs while you build a software
Mhm.
application, I cover what you need to have installed locally to run it without having to pay a cloud bill for OpenAI or Azure OpenAI, but like actually running everything locally. How to have a chat GPT literally on your computer, how to write C sharp that round trips between, how to write unit tests and integration tests for this functionality when your code is interacting with the model instead of your chat prompt, which we're all familiar with. And I
Right.
go through all of that and what the architecture is, and I compare it with other technologies that developers are familiar with, just to demystify what it looks like to make use of LLMs to build a cool software feature. And then I turn the attention to using AI driven development, using developer tools to actually do a better job
Mhm.
as we deliver software features.
So that second part, this is the one where sometimes people start to kind of freak out. They think, "Hold it, I'm going to be replaced by AI." And when I saw you do this talk last week, I believe it was at Sam's boot camp, and you had a really wonderful statistic there. I believe it was about something about it's going to make how much more productive that this is actually going to make us without replacing us.
Yeah, and this is some of the futurism, but Jeff Sutherland, one of the co-creators of Scrum and
Mhm.
the one of the signatories of the Agile Manifesto, he's publicly predicted that teams are going to get 30 times more productive than they are today using AI-driven development. Now, his term that he's using the term extreme agile because he's a Scrum guy,
Right,
but
right,
he's moving from the term Scrum to the term extreme agile when it comes to methodologies. So if
right.
you haven't heard Jeff Sutherland talk about extreme agile, look up that episode on the Azure and DevOps podcast. It's really fascinating. But his figure is 30x more productive. You also hear like the CEO of Anthropic uh,
Mhm,
throwing out that some number of years into the future, 80% of code is going to be written by AI. And Mark Zuckerberg talking about that same thing and hiring AI engineers. But the concept in all of that, there is not a future where software somehow gets built automatically by a machine
right.
without a person actually doing it. That's kind of like the dystopian future that somebody, oh no, the machines are going to replace us. And with every advancement in technology, um, even before industrialization, every advancement in technology, someone is going to say, oh, so and so is going to lose their job, and jobs are constantly shifting on who
Mhm,
does what and how much and who, but we've never had a realm of technology where literally the new technology takes the place of a human. And that's why it's called
mhm.
artificial intelligence. It is not real. It is absolutely artificial. And it's just a new tool. Computers can do really cool things. And now we have another wave of technology where we're saying, oh wow. And now computers can do another really cool thing. But it's still a tool that software engineers are using to deliver software. And so a software engineer who makes good decisions, good design decisions, and builds software well and arranges everything well, equipped with this new era of technology powered by Gen AI, which is GPT and large language
Mhm.
models, a good software engineer equipped with these new tools is going to be even better. It's
Right.
already getting better and it's going to be amazing. A a software engineer who doesn't make good design choices and already doesn't really do a good job building and delivering software applications, no AI tool is going to fix that.
Mhm.
However you work, however you think, and however you deliver software now, these new round of tools is just going to make you do more of that. Is going to amplify that. So to the extent that you are already highly competent and able to do a good job, you're going to be turbocharged. If you don't do a good job already, if you're not, AI's not going to somehow override that. Again, it's just a tool. It's just a computer that amplifies me.
Right, and there was something else that I'm not trying to give away. I'm not trying to give away all the talk, but there was something else that last time I heard you say is that say, yeah, okay, you look at this GitHub repository and maybe the code in there is 80, 90% AI generated, but the pull requests were approved by me. And
Oh,
and I
yeah.
and I, and I think that's what you're talking about. And also, you mentioned the CEO of Anthropic saying, I think it was him who said that in the future you're not going to need know that people don't need to learn how to code. And I was like, no, you're still going to need to know, because you're still going to need to know if that code that's being generated does what you want it to do. And that's kind of what I was that's kind of what I'm getting from that's kind of the gist that I'm getting from your talk, or the second half,
Yes.
or the second pillar of it at least.
Computer languages have changed over time what the actual what the source code looks like. And we've had a really long run where the nature of source code hasn't had any absolutely mind breaking changes or leaps forward. I mean, if you think about the early '90s when the when the Java syntax, the Turbo Pascal and the Java syntax kind of were around. C sharp, if you look, I mean, you got if statements, you've got for loops.
Mm-hmm.
Those concepts were even in COBOL in the late '50s, but you could say, oh well, that's very different. But you still have an if statement, you still have a for loop, you still have a way to call a function, which is a block of code. With object oriented programming, we now have encapsulation of data and behavior, and even JavaScript versus Python and all these other languages, the concepts are still the same. So even if down the road it morphs, how do you tell a computer what to do unless you have these logical constructs? And so what I think is going to happen is we're gonna use the what GitHub Copilot and other competitors to that type of tool, and JetBrains ReSharper and all the other tools that are going to come out, and it's more and more intelligence on steroids, not just statement completion, not just generate variables, not just generate an entire line, but for many many years IntelliSense has gotten better and generated more code for us, and now we're multi-line, and with GitHub Copilot edits, now it's multi-file, but it's
Mm-hmm.
still coming from my brain. And honestly, if I would love if I have a design in my head and I'm able to interact with my workstation and build this software feature at the speed that I can think about it,
Yeah.
and just to have a whole bunch of automation at my fingertips so that this software feature is coming to life as I am choosing to build it. But I'm not having to type every character, and that's going to be our reality, where there's going to be a change to the source code. Even if 5-10 years the nature of source code changes somewhat, I'm not worried about that. But right now it's C sharp, and I don't really see it changing from C sharp anytime soon. I don't see any indications of that. But I am the one building the software. There is not some independent little computer program that's somehow making decisions to build this feature. It's not happening. It's my I am operating the software that's running on my computer, and now the software that's running on my computer is just even more powerful. And then I'm still using good practices, engineering practices, feature branches, the pull request. I still am going to have every step of the way continuous integration, so
Mm-hmm.
that even before I go to the pull request, I know all the time, with what I just changed, do I still have a stable version of this piece of software? First, do no harm, don't break what's there. Do I still have stability, and did I take a good step forward? Because if I didn't take a good step forward, well, then I'm just wasting time. I need to undo what I just did and try again to take a good step forward. And so all the engineering practices are still there, and the engineering practices that we've learned over the decades, they're really for people, not for a machine.
Right. True.
But what's
Very true.
more important is we are going to finally be driven to a software engineering practice industry wide, as opposed to personality driven, where I prefer something and you prefer something, and so different parts of the code base look at a little bit differently, because these AI tools, they need consistency. And you've already seen it with Copilot. If I have clear design patterns and consistency across this code base, well, it's really good already at monkey see, monkey do,
Mm-hmm.
at generating code emulating the patterns that are already there. If there's no obvious consistency of patterns in the current code base, the Copilot doesn't, it's not going to generate anything useful. So I think in order to take advantage of this, it's going to drive us to standardized patterns, standardized packages, consistency across the code base, and more consistency in standards across members of the um, development team. And one final thing I'll
Mhm.
end with, and this is my futuristic prediction.
Okay.
Over now 20 years, you could argue that it started a little bit before. There's been a huge, at least for the United States, an economic push to outsource to other countries that have a lower unit cost of labor for programming work,
Mhm.
whatever the nature of that is. The offshoring and outsourcing kind of phenomenon driven by the CFO, because you look at the
Mhm.
cost of labor and budgets, and it's a macro force. But in an era where I can basically build features at the speed that I can have discussions with a business partner and think about it, then that has the potential to take away the economic force of having certain product management teams in one country, but then searching the globe to have the actual code written by lower cost areas, and bring bring the programming back to where the product management
Right.
decisions are happening, and shrink team sizes. I can see very clearly how a team of 2 could replace a team of 10 or 15. Not to say that people are put out of a job,
Mhm.
but imagine if we can do 10 to 30 times as much
Right.
software development as before. The globe is already massively shorthanded when it comes to competent computer programmers,
Mhm.
and so this is just going to help satisfy the demand and the need. But I think, at least for the U.S., I think it has the potential to reverse that trend, where now we can get back to Fred Brooks's surgical team
Mhm.
analogy in his essay in the Mythical Man Month book, where you've got two hands in the patient being the source code. You have two competent software engineers, one the lead, one the assistant, both of them highly competent, and that software build is going at the speed that you can make design decisions and have those conversations with business partners and users and customers.
Right. Right, yeah, so if you had so, if you have a team of so if you have a team today of 5 of 10 rather, and you split that into and but you only need 2, you don't need to get rid of those other 8, you just become 5 times more productive, so yeah. Absolutely,
and
absolutely wonderful, yeah.
and you can do more.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, exactly, but that's just if everything stays, if all other
Yep,
things remaining equal. Now
yep,
you're also an author. I want to be sure to give you a chance to talk about your book a little bit. Like see an
sure.
image of it here.
Well, I started on this outline in 2019, right after I published my .NET DevOps for Azure book, and it's been percolating in my head because being in the consulting world since 2006, there's so many of the same patterns that happen client after client, project after project, and while the boot camps and the universities have cranked out a whole bunch more people to write computer code, uh, our industry, our world does not have enough people who are competent in leadership roles of driving software engineering projects, of supervising people who are writing code. And this book aims to help those, because those people are being designated from being an independent developer and just being picked. You know what? We need somebody to be the team manager or the team architect, to be the leader of a group of developers. Okay, you're it. But we don't have a consistent education and equipping track in our industry to help people be effective at that. And so this book is aimed to try to close that gap. And so if anyone's in a role where it's your job to help a group of software engineers be effective, these are the common things to think about. And my hope is that it helps a software leader organize his thoughts and sequence of priorities in uh, in the quest to do a good job overseeing a software team and running it.
And if I'm not mistaken, you can actually get the electronic version of that at no cost.
That's right. We You can buy the physical books online. It's also on audible.com and Kindle for ebook. But I've told anybody, if anybody just sends me an email, I'm more than happy to just to send them an electronic copy for free because I just want to help people, and the more people who can kind of get over the hump, figuring out what it means to be an effective software leader, the better in my book.
Well, I'll leave a link to the form where they can contact you in the in the description below. So that's about that's like I said. Don't want to give away the entire talk. We want people to come see the event on Friday, April 25th, 2025. This will be at 9:10 a.m. That's Central Time, GMT -6. We have two tracks again, track A and track I. Jeffrey's going to be in track I. He's gonna kick track I off. Remember again, it's the Memphis Global AI Community Bootcamp. And I'll also put this link down in the description below. But this is where you go to RSVP. It will actually be streamed live on YouTube, and we're hoping to see everybody there. Jeffrey, thank you very much again for your time as a speaker, and thanks for talking with us tonight.
My pleasure indeed.
All right, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you later.